and today I'm coming at you with a special YouTube video in honor of Father's Day, honoring my dad, because back in the day my dad used to have a garden in our backyard with my growing up. And so normally on Sundays, well, not every Sunday, we'd go to my dad's house and we'd have Sunday dinner with him. Well, one Sunday back in March, I just happened to start asking my dad some questions about gardening, because I sometimes wondered to myself, how did I get this gardening knack? Well, I somewhat remember my dad gardening when I was a child, probably early elementary school, preschool age days, somewhere around there, maybe even into middle school. My dad never made us go out and work in the garden. It was in the corner of the yard, but he never made us. But I would go out. I recall being out in the garden sometimes. So as far as going out there and having to do something in the garden, that's not something we had to do. But so I asked my dad a series of questions just related to gardening. And so I wanted to know, well, how long had he been gardening? And he told me he had been gardening for like 10 to 12 years. And I wanted to know, well, what was it that you grew? So he told me he grew okra, tomatoes, cucumbers, collards, cabbage, watermelon, cantaloupe, beans, peas, eggplants, potatoes, sweet potatoes. And ironically, these are things that I have grown or currently grow in my garden over the years. So I thought that was kind of cool when I looked at the list of things that he told me he grew. He also told me that growing up in Alabama, which is where he's from, that you had to grow a garden to survive, which I can understand that. Back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, a lot of people did have their own home gardens that they grew a lot of their food from to feed their families. So I wanted to know, how did he come to getting into gardening? So he told me probably when he was like 1 or 2 years old, he followed his mom out to the garden. And then eventually, I guess by just being out there and being exposed to what she was doing in the garden, he became familiar with the things of gardening. And so by the time he was 7 or 8, it was something he had to do. So he probably had garden chores, which I could understand. You're growing your food, so the children would probably have to go out and harvest or plant to help out with growing the garden, because they were also needed to help put food on the table by way of the garden. And so for my dad, by the time that was something that he was exposed to in his childhood, so that by the time he met my mom and got married and was living life, he had an interest in gardening. And so he started gardening. And my dad was in the military, and while in the military on base, because we used to live on base for a stint, he told me that they would have garden plots. You would sign up for a garden plot, but you had to watch out, because there were thieves. People would take your produce, and so he would keep his garden plot fenced in with chicken wire. But this was something for my dad, as far as gardening, something he wanted to do and something he enjoyed doing, because he enjoyed seeing the fruits of his labor come harvest time. And my dad would, when harvest time would come and he'd have produce, he enjoyed sharing it with family members and with friends. So I asked my dad, well, did we help out in the garden growing up? And he said, yeah, we did help. We helped eat the produce. So my dad had 8 kids, and out of the 8 of us, 5 of us grow in some form or fashion. So I just wanted to share this all with you. I thought it was something special to do for Father's Day in honor of my dad, who is in his 80s, early 80s, 80. And I wanted to just ask him, what was it that he did as far as gardening? Because I sometimes wonder, like, why do I just want to garden? I don't recall constantly wanting to be in the garden, especially around my middle school years, and definitely I wasn't interested in gardening in my high school years. And in my early 20s, it wasn't until I became a homeowner that I got interested in wanting to have my own little garden. And start off with trying to grow tomatoes and cucumbers, and from then on my interest peaked. So I just wanted to share this with you all. If you have children in your lives that whether it's your children or children who come around and they see you gardening, you just never know the things that you're doing in your garden. You just never know how it may influence and get them interested in growing something for themselves. So to all the fathers, I just want to say Happy Father's Day, and I hope you enjoy your day, and thanks for watching. Have a great day.